Have you ever had one of those weeks where you feel, just absolutely unstoppable?
Oh, yeah. You know that feeling.
You're waking up before the alarm goes off. Your mind is just, it's crystal clear.
You're crushing your to-do list.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
Hitting personal bests in the gym, charming everyone in meetings, and you feel like you have finally cracked the code.
Right. You think, this is it. This is the new me.
I finally leveled up. It
Yeah.
feels, it feels permanent.
It's a wonderful feeling. It really is. It's the peak of the wave. It's intoxicating.
Exactly. But then, without any warning, maybe the very next week, or even just a few days later, you wake up and it's just gone.
The fog rolls in.
Yeah, you feel drained, apathetic, you're staring at your computer screen and your brain just feels like static. You skip the gym because the weights feel twice as heavy.
And the worst part isn't the fatigue itself.
No, it's the guilt. You start thinking, what is wrong with me? I was doing so well. Why am I back here?
I must be lazy. I must be broken.
Exactly. That whole narrative.
That narrative that the drop in energy is some kind of personal failure, a flaw in your character, that is one of the most damaging misunderstandings we have about how our own minds work.
So what I'm describing isn't a failure.
It's not a failure. It's a law of nature.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
Today, we're going to dismantle that guilt. We're going to explore why that slump happens, why it's actually inevitable, and crucially, how you can stop fighting it and start, using it.
And we're looking at the principle of rhythm.
That's right.
We have a really fascinating stack of research and wisdom literature to get through today. We're anchoring this whole conversation in the Kybalion, specifically the 11th chapter, which covers this principle.
But we're not just staying there. To make this a really practical manual for modern life, we're overlaying that ancient wisdom with insights from all over.
Right. We've got Atomic Habits, the Bhagavad Gita,
Stoic philosophy from Seneca, and some really interesting modern behavioral psychology. It all points in the same direction.
and the mission here is, well, it's simple, but pretty profound.
It is. We want to teach you how to ride the wave of your own energy and emotional cycles without panic.
We're going to look at this hermetic art of neutralization, which it sounds mystical.
It does sound a bit out there, but it's actually a very grounded psychological tool for emotional stability.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. We hear the word rhythm, we think music, maybe a drum beat.
Sure.
But in the context of Hermetic philosophy and the Kybalion, what are we actually talking about? Can you define the principle of rhythm in, plain English?
Yeah, absolutely. The Kybalion gives us a very poetic but really precise definition. It says something like, everything flows out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall.
Out and in, I like that.
It goes on to say that the pendulum swing manifests in everything. And there's a key phrase that I think everyone should remember.
What's that?
The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates.
That image of the pendulum is so powerful. It's so physical. If you pull a pendulum halfway up to the right and you let it go, it's going to swing exactly that far to the left. It can't stop short. Physics just demands that it matches the distance.
Precisely. And what the Kybalion is arguing is that this isn't just a law of physics for weights on a string.
It's a law of reality.
Law of reality.
Right.
It applies to the rise and fall of nations. You see empires grow, reach a peak, and then inevitably they decline.
It applies to the seasons. You can't have an eternal summer.
Winter must follow. We see it in the tides of the ocean. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. You can't stand on the beach and command the tide to stay high forever.
And yet, that is exactly what we try to do inside our own heads.
We do.
We want to be in high tide mode 24/7. We think that if we're smart enough or we work hard enough, we can outsmart the pendulum.
And that's where all the suffering comes from. The ancient wisdom literature recognized this long, long ago. I mean, you look at Ecclesiastes. It states very clearly, there is a season for everything. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to laugh and a time to weep.
The ancients understood that reality is cyclical. It's a circle, not a straight line going up forever.
So these cycles, these swings from high energy to low energy, from happiness to sadness, are features of the system. They're the engine of the system. You can't have growth without rest.
Yeah.
You can't have output without input. The problem isn't the rhythm itself.
The pendulum is going to swing whether you like it or not.
It is. The problem is our relationship to it. We think we can stop it. We think if we just drink enough coffee or read enough self-help books or just try harder, we can nail the pendulum to the right side, the side of high energy, joy, productivity, and just keep it there forever.
And when it inevitably swings back to the left towards rest or sadness or low motivation, we panic.
We panic.
We treat it like it's a catastrophe.
We do. And that brings us right to the practical problem we need to solve. The trap isn't the low cycle. The trap is that people quit during the dip.
You know, I saw this great thread on Reddit that we have in our notes. It was describing what they called an insult in a bag.
An insult in a bag? I love that.
It was referring to that really simplistic advice you see on social media, you know, things like just choose to be happy or grind every single day.
Right. And that advice is an insult because it completely ignores the reality of the rhythmic low tide. It assumes that if you're not happy or productive, you're just making a bad choice.
Yeah.
But when you are in the grip of that downward, happy is impossible advice. It's like telling a sailor in a storm to just calm the ocean. It's absurd.
There's also this psychological tendency we have to identify with the high phase. When I'm productive and happy, I think, okay, this is the real me. This is who I am now.
Yeah.
But when the low phase hits, I treat it like an alien invader. I think, this isn't me. Something is wrong.
And that identity attachment is so dangerous. Because when you identify the high as you, then the low becomes not you, or maybe even failed you. We have some notes here from a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita that speaks directly to this. It talks about the danger of drift.
Drift.
When that low cycle hits, the mind, it tends to spiral. We start worrying. We start regretting. We think, I've lost it. I'll never get that energy back.
It's that feeling of permanence. When you're sad, it feels like you will be sad forever. When you're tired, it feels like you'll never have energy again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because we think the low phase is a permanent failure, what do?
We stop trying.
We stop trying. We drift away from our practices. We stop the gym completely. We stop writing. We collapse.
Yeah.
And that collapse makes the low phase so much deeper and longer than it ever needed to be.
So how do we break that cycle? How do we stop the collapse? We've structured this into a practical method, drawing from all our sources.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Step 1 seems almost too simple, but it really changes everything. And it's just expect the wave.
It is the shift from surprise to anticipation. Think about a surfer. A surfer sitting on a board in the ocean knows that waves come in sets. When a big wave comes, she isn't shocked. She doesn't scream, "Why is the water moving?"
She expects it.
She expects it. And because she expects it, she can handle it.
We have a reference here to the Tao Te Ching and the concept of water.
Yes. The Tao teaches us to be like water. Water flows, it yields, it doesn't break because it's flexible. When we're rigid, when we demand that we must always be energetic, we snap when the pressure changes.
So expecting the wave means waking up, feeling that heaviness, and instead of saying, oh no,
You say, here it is. The swing to the left. I knew you were coming.
it takes the shock out of it. It takes all the drama out of it.
Removes the resistance. And resistance is what causes the pain.
That leads perfectly into step 2, which is all about how we talk to ourselves during that dip. You call it identity separation.
This is where we can combine some Stoic philosophy with modern behavioral psychology. There's a concept called cognitive diffusion.
Okay.
It's the practice of detaching yourself from your thoughts and your feelings.
So instead of saying, I am sad, which labels my whole being, my entire identity as sadness,
You say, I am experiencing a wave of sadness. It sounds like a small semantic trick, but the neurological difference is huge.
how so?
I am sad makes sadness your identity. It's a solid state. I am experiencing a wave of sadness makes you the observer. You're the sky. The sadness is just a cloud passing through.
The Kybalion touches on this too, doesn't it? The idea that you are not the pendulum.
Yes, you are the watcher of the pendulum.
Yeah.
If you can stand back and watch your mood change, then by definition, you are not the mood.
You're the consciousness witnessing the mood.
Exactly. And that creates a tiny bit of space between you and the emotion. And in that space, you find sanity. You realize, this is happening to me, but it is not me.
Okay, so I expect the wave, and I separate my identity from it, but I still have to get through the day.
Yeah.
I still have a job. I still have responsibilities. I can't just sit on a rock and observe my sadness for a week. Which brings us to step 3, the baseline practice.
This is my favorite part because it is so actionable. We draw this from Atomic Habits and also from the Bhagavad Gita. The biggest mistake people make in a low cycle is this all or nothing mentality.
Right. If I can't do my full hour workout, I'll do nothing.
If I can't write 5 pages, I'll write 0.
And 0 is the enemy.
0 kills momentum.
No.
The baseline practice is the absolute minimum requirement you set for yourself that you can do even on your worst day.
Okay, so give me an example. If my high version is a 1-hour gym session.
Your low baseline might be 10 minutes of stretching on the living room floor,
Yeah.
or maybe even just 5 push-ups.
And if my high version is meditating for 30 minutes.
Your baseline is 2 minutes of just closing your eyes and breathing.
The Bhagavad Gita has a beautiful line about this, doesn't it?
It does. It talks about the practice of abhyasa. And the stress is not on the intensity or the force. The stress is on the repetition, again and again.
Again and again.
The goal during a low cycle is not progress. The goal is simply to keep the neural pathway open. You are keeping the chain alive.
So a 2-minute meditation preserves the identity of, I am a meditator.
Exactly. If you quit completely, you break that identity, and starting over is incredibly hard.
I love that. It gives you permission to be mediocre for a while, as long as you're consistent.
Precisely. Mediocrity is acceptable. Quitting is not.
Now, step 4 takes a bit of foresight. High phase preparation. This is the idea that we should use our high energy, not just to do work, but to protect our future selves.
The analogy I like to use is buying a winter coat. You don't wait until you're freezing in a snowstorm to try and buy a coat.
No, of course not.
You buy it when you have the money and the time, maybe in the late summer or autumn.
So how does that look in daily life?
When you're in a high cycle, when you're feeling energetic and productive, don't just burn all that energy on new projects. Spend some of it building systems that will support you when you crash.
Like meal prep.
Meal prep is a classic example. When you have energy, cook a batch of healthy food and freeze it. Then when the low cycle hits and you can't phase cooking, you don't have to resort to junk food.
You have a safety net that your high self built for your low self.
It's an act of kindness to your future self. It could be automating your savings or drafting a bunch of email templates so you don't have to write them from scratch when your brain is foggy.
You're essentially being a good friend to future you. You know the low tide is coming, so you pack some supplies.
That's it, exactly.
I want to pivot now to the Kybalion specifically. We've touched on it, but there's a more advanced concept in there called the law of neutralization. This sounds a bit esoteric, but I think it's really where the power lies.
It is the master level move. The Kybalion says that you cannot stop the principle of rhythm, you can't stop the pendulum from swinging, but you can escape its effects.
How?
By rising to a higher plane of consciousness. Imagine 2 levels. The lower level is the emotional plane. That's where the storm is. That's where the pendulum is swinging back and forth between happy and sad, excited and bored.
Okay.
The higher level is the mental or spiritual plane. That is the observer, the I am.
So the law of neutralization is about moving your awareness upstairs.
Yes. The text describes it as polarizing yourself at the positive pole. So let's say the pendulum is swinging back towards fear. The master acknowledges the swing, but refuses to go with it.
They stay put.
They stay polarized in courage on the conscious level, while letting the feeling of fear swing past on the unconscious level.
That's tricky to visualize. Can you give an analogy?
Think of a boat on the ocean. The tide goes up and down. That's the rhythm. If you are standing on the seabed, the water crashes over your head. You drown.
Right.
But if you're in a boat, you rise with the water. The water still moves. You haven't stopped the tide, but you are floating on top of it. You stay dry.
So neutralization doesn't mean you don't feel the emotion.
Not at all.
It means you weren't drowned by it.
Correct. It means poise. You feel the sensation of sadness in your chest, perhaps, but you do not become the sadness. You maintain a mental firmness. You say, I see this feeling, but I am remaining here at my center.
It's like a surfer riding on top of the wave, rather than being pummeled by the wave.
Perfect analogy. The wave is still there. It's still powerful. But your relationship to it has changed from victim to rider.
Let's ground this with some specific examples. We promised 3 scenarios: work, relationships, and habits. Let's start with work.
Okay. Scenario 1, the work dip. You just finished a huge project. Maybe you launched a product or finished a big report. The week after, you crash. Zero creativity. You're just staring at your screen.
The reaction is usually panic. I'm washed up. I've got no good ideas left.
Right. Applying our method. First, you expect it. Of course I'm tired. I just sprinted. Second, identity separation. I'm not lazy. I am recharging.
Right.
Third, the baseline action.
Don't try to start the next big thing.
No. Switch to admin mode.
Small proof action.
Exactly. Answer 3 emails. Organize your file folders. Clean your desk. You're still working. You're still being a professional. But you're matching your output to your energy level. You're keeping the wheels turning without forcing the engine.
Okay, scenario 2. Relationships. This is a big one.
Yeah.
You wake up and suddenly, for no reason, you're annoyed with your partner. They're breathing too loud. Everything they say just irritates you.
It happens to everyone. The pendulum has swung from connection to irritation. The trap is to think, maybe I don't love them anymore, or to pick a fight just to vent that energy.
So the baseline reaction here is the calm tone.
Yes, you communicate the phase. You can say, hey, I am in a really low energy cycle today. I'm feeling a bit off. It isn't you, but I just need a little space.
You set a protective boundary.
You do. You don't force a romantic date night when you're feeling gritty. You aim for polite coexistence.
You just keep the peace. You wait for the swing to return to the right.
And it will return. That's the promise of rhythm. The feeling of love and connection will come back as long as you don't burn the house down while you're waiting.
Scenario 3, habits. We touched on this, but let's be specific. It's a rainy Tuesday. You're exhausted. The gym feels like climbing Mount Everest.
The dip is that physical lethargy. The typical reaction is, I'll skip today and go twice as hard tomorrow.
Which, of course, never happened.
Never happens. So the action is the minimum version.
What does that look like?
Drive to the gym, walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes and go home. Or do 5 squats in your kitchen. The victory is not the workout. The victory is that you did not negotiate with yourself. You kept the appointment.
You prove to yourself that you show up even when it's raining.
That's the win.
I think we need to put up some guardrails here, because I can hear some people thinking, this sounds great. I can just say I'm in a low cycle and sit on the couch eating chips for a month.
That is the danger. And it's misunderstanding. Rhythm is not fatalism. It is not saying, I'm destined to be sad, so I'll give up.
There's still free will.
The Kybalion is very clear that the will is superior to the conscious manifestation of this principle. You still have willpower. You can still choose.
So it is not an excuse for laziness.
No. You have to be honest with yourself. Is this a genuine rhythmic low tide, or are you just avoiding something difficult? The baseline practice helps with this. If you are doing the minimum, if you are doing your 5 push-ups, you are not being lazy. You are maintaining discipline.
But if you do 0...
If you do 0, that might be laziness.
Yeah.
You have to be the judge.
And it is also not about obsessively trying to predict the future.
Right. Don't try to chart your moves like the stock market. Oh, next Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon, I will be sad. That is just another form of anxiety. It is about readiness, not prediction. Just be ready when the weather changes.
Okay, I want to move to a guided exercise now. We want to help you, the listener, build your own baseline practice plan right now.
Let's do it.
I'm just going to ask a few questions, and I want you to just think of the answer in your head.
Take a breath. Be honest with yourself. No judgment.
First question. Name your current phase. Are you in a high, a low, or a middle phase right now? Just notice it. Name it.
If you're high, enjoy it. If you're low, accept it.
Next. Choose one baseline practice you will do regardless of the phase. What's the one thing you will never skip? Is it drinking a glass of water? 2 minutes of silence, reading 1 page of a book.
Make it so small you can't say no.
Next, choose one protective boundary for your low phase. When you are feeling drained, what is one thing you will say no to? Maybe no social media after 8 p.m. or no answering work emails on the weekend.
Protect your energy.
Next, choose one preparation step you will do in the next high phase. When the energy returns, what is one gift you will give to your future self?
Pack those supplies.
And finally, choose a phrase or a mantra you will repeat to yourself during the dips. Something like, this is just the swing, or
rhythm compensates, or simply, this too shall pass.
Take a moment to commit to that plan. Remember, consistency over intensity.
That is the whole secret. The tortoise beats the hare because the hare has these huge swings of rhythm sprinting and then sleeping, and the tortoise just maintains a steady baseline.
Before we wrap up, let's just quickly address some common misunderstandings. We've touched on a few, but let's be explicit. Misunderstanding 1. We can stop the rhythm.
Correction. You cannot. It is a universal law. You can only rise above its negative effects. You can't stop the rain, but you can use an umbrella.
Misunderstanding 2. The high phase is the only good phase.
Correction. The low phase is necessary. Yeah. It is where integration happens. It's where your muscles repair after the gym. It's where your brain consolidates memories during sleep. The low phase is not the enemy, it's the recovery room.
Okay, what about this one? Misunderstanding 3. Neutralization means feeling nothing.
Correction. It means poise. It's not about becoming a robot. It is feeling the emotion but not being enslaved by it. It's the difference between having a glass of wine and being drunk. You partake, but you stay in control.
Misunderstanding 4. Rhythm justifies bad behavior.
A big one. Correction. Being in a bad mood is not a license to treat other people poorly. Self-mastery means controlling the expression of the mood. You can feel irritable, but you can choose to be polite.
That's the calm tone we talked about.
Exactly.
And the last one, misunderstanding 5. This requires complex magic.
Correction.
Yeah.
It just requires attention. It's the simple act of noticing, oh, the pendulum is swinging. That split second of noticing is the magic. It breaks the spell of the emotion.
We have covered a lot of ground today. Let's recap the main points.
Okay, here are the key takeaways from our talk today.
First.
Rhythm is a universal law. Everything rises and falls.
Next.
The pendulum swing to the right equals the swing to the left.
And the big problem.
Most people quit because they mistake a cycle for a failure.
So what's the first step?
Expect the wave so you're not surprised by the low tide.
And remember.
Separate your identity from your current mood or energy level.
And the practical action.
Maintain a baseline practice to keep momentum during lows.
And finally, the master move.
Use the law of neutralization to stay poised while the pendulum swings.
Next time, we're moving to the 11th episode, Cause and Effect, the Principle of Causation. We're going to talk about how to stop being a pawn on the chessboard and start being the player.
That is a big one. It is about taking total responsibility for the chain of events in your life. It's really powerful stuff.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.